Thank you, Mark. My name is Tom Greaves, and I'm an educational marketing consultant. Spent about 26 years at IBM and was CEO of a few educational companies, and I'm now consulting with others in this industry. And I'm welcome here on our panel today Dr. David Engle, who is a superintendent of schools in North Platte, Nebraska, and a leader nationally in combining leadership talent and educational technology. To his left, we have Kathy Hurley. Kathy Hurley is a senior vice president at Pearson, one of the largest players in our industry, and is known as, trying to think of the right word, but maybe I'll say queen of marketing in our industry, the number one person on the board of the Software Publishers Association, et cetera, and a good person to stand near if you'd like to learn what's going on. And Sally needs no introduction, and oops, sorry. I told David there'd be a glitch this morning. Sharon needs no introduction, which is good. And she is, among other things, managing the Project Inkwell Africa effort. I'd like to go back to 1996 when Mark Anderson was doing what he does best, which is predict the future. And he decided at that point in time that could see that America's educational system would be better served if every student had their own computing device, technology that actually could transform the classrooms. And he made that prediction at a conference. And then in 2004, following up with that, he started Project Inkwell, and it was dedicated to being a catalyst to fulfill that vision. If you fast forward the 5 years since that time, almost every major vendor, with the exception of Apple, is now producing machines for classrooms that roughly approximate the Project Inkwell specifications. The most recent was Dell, who announced their 2100 models in school bus orange and other colors earlier this week. We now have seen this grow from a handful of schools in 1996 when Mark made the prediction to over 2,500 schools and representing over 1,000 students actually in those schools with the laptop for every student, not counting the other million kids that have laptops that are not part of one-to-one schools. During this last 5 years, it's safe to say that no organization has been as effective and as persevering in this movement as Project Inkwell has been. And it's a debt of gratitude owed by these students that Project Inkwell has led the way in this, although somewhat unsung at times. I'd like to raise the lights for just a second because I have an audience participation question. I'd like to know how many of you in the audience receive substantial amount of revenue from the education market segment, if you could raise your hands. So we have a fair number here, and that is good. I would like to point out that as I go through the presentations, I see that at least 40% of the audience has products that could be used in education, but they don't know it. And so if you think you're in that category, call me and I will be happy to discuss your case and tell you how you might proceed to tackle that market. I'd like to not take too much more time away from our panel today and turn it over to Dr. David Engle. What is that you've got there?
Well, Tom, I bring this to remind us, this is an Inkwell. Cobalt blue, $12 a bottle. I'm sure it's more expensive now than it was when I went to school, which was some time ago. But if you remember back a long time ago, there used to be, every desk used to have a hole in it. And you'd come to school and you'd put a little pot in there with your ink, and that was your technology for the day. And you used your quill, and you delivered your learning through this media. So I bring this to remind us about how far we're coming and going. And interestingly enough, I was in our art class last week, and they're using ink now as an art media, not to write with, but to draw with. And it's the only purpose it has in schools now pretty much is as an art media. Ballpoint pens have taken over and other devices. People in my office know better than to use this pen for anything unless they're experts at it because it can splatter all over. I still use the fountain pen to remind myself of how revolutionary this movement really is. And, you know, I put that pen right next to my keyboard as I work. But what I'd like to just kind of stress today is how the word revolutionary sometimes is off-putting for people, so I try to think of other language to use, but the movement to a digitally informed learning environment is profound, and it's my understanding now, having watched several kind of layers of this development occur, that there's no turning back, there's no kind of politics of restoration involved here. It's a significant step change in what we need to do. And our learners are waiting for us to catch up. And I think that's kind of new in the history of education, is that we have learners that are kind of powering down to come to school, who are disengaging from what we're doing, typically in an analog school environment, waiting for us to kind of put in place the learning environment that's native for them. And so for me, the urgency around this work gets more intense the longer we wait. So the work I've been able to do in North Platte is, it's a district that's what I call right-sized. It's 4,200 students. I don't have to convince large bureaucracies to change. I have to, a much different job in terms of what I'm doing there. And coming from an urban background where the political, what Mark refers to as trench warfare that needs to go on, not having to expend a lot of energy around that has allowed me to move very quickly and demonstrate to lots of folks the power of this shift that we're making. So I've been really excited about the progress we made in North Platte. Who would have imagined a small kind of rural township in Nebraska could make such rapid shifts in what they do? I kind of had a sense that this was a place that was ready to go. My purpose in doing that work is to do things right this time. I've learned a lot from this, what I call the digital migration in education, and to apply that learning and then to create what I call just a case study district, so that other people can come look at what we're doing and also move themselves pretty quickly forward into what I call this new digital learning environment that we're creating. I think if you've been at this conference paying attention, you realize the importance of the work that we're about, and that is creating more intelligence, more intelligent life. The challenges that humanity faces right now are not just daunting, they're kind of beyond that. They're at a level that requires that we husband our intelligence and develop it very carefully, and we can't let anybody fall off that project. We need everybody on board to pull this off. And so I have kind of a sense of urgency about this work that almost borders on kind of a survival mentality. So I bring that energy to it and experience, and now I've seen proof of how it works in a couple of my classrooms where I just put a lot of resources into developing what I call digital bubbles, and doing a one-to-one with a math class and an English class, and those kids, they've come alive. The data we've gathered shows that the control group, I almost feel like I'm committing educational malpractice because I know better than to even have a control group. And the treatment group is, in terms of engagement, time on task, and academic outcomes, especially in writing and math, there's just no contest. And so what I need to do, my challenge for next year, is to provide that environment for more and more of my students so that they all have the same opportunities. And as you'll hear from the other folks in the panel here, therein lies the challenge.
So what are some of the big aha moments you've had as you've watched these digital bubbles at work?
The biggest aha for me is just how ready our students are to move into this digitally informed environment. And because I have at least I have a foot in the old world and a foot in the new world, and I've been straddling this for a long time. I was a little fatigued, but now I'm feeling much more energized because I've seen and gathered the data to present to my board members. I have to convince 6 people that this is a good idea. Presenting that data and looking at what's going on in those classrooms has convinced me this is really, really significant work.
How about the teachers?
Both of my teachers that are in this experiment have told me if you don't provide us with the same resources next year, we're done. I said, okay, I'll take care of that problem. So they're transformed. Their practices transformed. They don't see any way back to the old way. And I think that's a common experience for teachers.
Well, thank you, and I'm sure we'll have some more questions later. Kathy, as you're one of the leaders in this industry, I wanted to ask you earlier, just to help the audience figure out, how much revenue does Pearson get from education?
Well, we're a $9 billion company, and 70% of our revenue is from education.
About $6 billion?
Yeah.
And are there other players other than you that are getting multiple billions?
Well, right now, we love the stimulus package. No, education is very important in a good market. And I think a lot of people just don't understand the education market.
I know Dell gets about $5 billion, so there's a lot of money out there. And there's 900 other companies in the software field as well.
True.
So what are you doing in the grand scheme of things, and also maybe specifically some of your Africa projects?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Tom and Sharon and Mark for having me here today. And I always say Tom is one of the nicest and smartest people that I know. No, I say smart because he hired me at IBM 20 years ago. And then I followed him to net schools several years later. But I've learned so much about technology. And for Pearson, that's really important. I don't know whether you know Pearson, but we are the largest educational publisher in the world. And we have products from pre-K through 20. We just reorganized the company. So brands like Scott Forsman, Prentice Hall, Addison Wesley, Merrill, you probably know a lot of those brands. But the other companies we own are Penguin Books and Financial Times. So we like to think this is a real opportunistic time, not a challenging time as we go from print to digital. So we don't really talk about publishing much anymore. We say we're a technology and information company. But today, I'm here to really talk about the Pearson Foundation. The Pearson Foundation is our corporate social responsibility side of the business. We're an operating foundation, although we do give millions of dollars to NGAs and other nonprofit companies. We spend a lot of our time, we give our 36,000 employees in 70 countries time to go out and volunteer with community programs. And we donate books, because obviously we're a big book company, and also because we're a publisher, we do go out and do a lot of guides around the world for people who are in community programs. So again, we're an operating company, but growing quite rapidly, and we do a lot of our projects outside the US. I wanted to mention our area of focus is really digital arts, literacy, financial literacy, 21st century skills at all levels. We have a program called Digital Arts where we go into the schools and we work with teachers and students and principals, and we teach them how to make movies. We take all the equipment in. We take the flip cameras with the cell phones. We work with Nokia, and we teach them how to make movies and put them on their cell phones. We do this around the United States, and we do it in various places around the world, and I'm going to show you a little clip in just a minute about a project we're doing in Africa. We have a lot of partners. We work with the American Red Cross. We work with the hardware companies. We work with many of these the different associations in Washington. We have worked with the Jane Goodall Foundation in Africa, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in, as I mentioned, Nokia. So we have several projects in Africa. We are in Ethiopia, and I'm not going to tell you much about those projects. If you go to the Pearson website, you'll be able to see what we're doing in Africa. But we have a program in Ghana where we partnered up with the International Organization of Migration. We are also in Ethiopia, where we're working with some of the tribal issues that are going on in Ethiopia, and then in Tanzania. Tanzania is interesting because we are working with the Jane Goodall Foundation on Roots and Shoots projects. So we have kids making PSAs about nature and the environment, and those PSAs are going all over the world. In fact, last year we brought 100 kids from around the world over to Orlando to just learn how to make films and PSAs about the environment. The nice thing about the Jane Goodall program, the Roots and Shoots, is that we have teamed those children up with kids in Louisiana, and they have a program about the wetlands going on where they communicate with each other. The clip I'm going to show you is a program we're doing in Johannesburg, South Africa. We're working with UNESCO on a program that we call the Sarah Communications Program. This is all around young girls. It's teaching girls who've had a very difficult life to tell their stories. It's pretty heart-wrenching when you see some of the things that are going on with these girls, but we want them to have a positive image. We want them to have more positive relationships. We want them to avoid the whole HIV/AIDS syndrome that's going on over there. So we are very pleased with this project, and this is growing tremendously. As a matter of fact, we're going to be in Tanzania this summer at the Pan-African Reading Meeting, where they're bringing 55 countries together to look at literacy, and the focus is going to be around our digital arts program in Tanzania. So with that, I'm going to just show this quick clip.
FiRe Communication Initiative is about the girl child in Africa. It's comics and videos and DVDs on this brave girl that faces many challenges.
We got in on the Saturday and we did an orientation program with the girls. Each one dealt with the FiRe storyline, what it meant to them, what they learned, and how it affects them.
FiRe's family allows her to come stay in their house.
But Sarah is not going to do the wrong thing and drop out of school.
I wish I could be just like her. She's got this confidence in her. She's got this power. And for me, it's like, whoa, she's a very good role model for me.
And what is this? What do you do with it? Music, video. We worked with them on discussing different issues that they might face that correlate with the books. And we also worked with them on how to actually use the software, how to film their own films, how to take their own pictures, how to record their own voices.
Every day we go home with cameras, cell phones, Nokia cell phones. No one could give you such an expensive thing and say, take this home, you'll bring it back tomorrow. So I was like, oh, God, thank you, you've blessed us.
Toward the end of the week, we invited the dignitaries to come into the room and see what the girls have been up to. We also took the opportunity to have the girls teach the adults.
The movie you're making, what's the movie about?
About yourself and stories about Sarah. Knowing that other people are going to watch my movies like, wow. Because maybe someone has been through the same situation as I, and they're actually scared to talk about it. But if you talk about it, it actually makes you feel better.
There was this one night when a man came into our house and raped me. And it was hard for me to think about what happened. And it's when I want to show those women in the world that, as a woman, we are so independent and we can make a world a better place.
Between Maskell Miller and Pearson, what they've done together, I think they've created an overwhelming opportunity for these girls to believe in themselves.
And for me, I could say I had a lot of opportunities and a lot of people believed in me, and this is where I am now. So I'll be glad that I did something to other girls. I changed someone's life.
Thank you. It's a very exciting program, and like I said, we're really doing these programs all over the world, but I invite you to come to our website and look at some of the films that we have about what's going on in Africa. We're definitely a big believer in using one-to-one technology devices, and as you can see, this is all about self-esteem, 21st century skills, and as you heard her say, entrusting these girls with these expensive devices, they feel just so good about themselves. So Thank you, Tom, for allowing me to talk about that.
Kathy, could you talk just a minute about 21st century skills? You mentioned that. What's going on nationally on 21st century skills, and where's that all headed with our schools?
Well, there's a very big movement afoot to really make sure that our kids can compete globally and that we are teaching the right skills in schools. So I belong to a group, in fact, I'm the incoming chair of the Partnership for 21st Century Skills, which is 40 different companies, including education groups like the NEA and the Association of Supervision, Curriculum and Development. We also have Intel, Cisco, Apple, people like Pearson, McGraw-Hill, Discovery, Disney. It's a really big program. We're working now with 17 states where we're trying to get them to look at their standards and incorporate things like creative critical thinking, problem solving, communication skills, looking at global literacy, financial literacy, making sure that we can compete globally. So that's another good website if you want to take a look at what's going on around the country in these 21st century skills.
Thank you. Sharon, tell us what's going on in Africa and Project Inkwell. It's exciting.
It is exciting. We started the Project Engle Africa Sister School program about a year ago. And we have two connections, and I want to talk about both of them. The most recent connection which we've made is with Park City, Utah, and the St. Johnson Orphanage in Bira, Uganda. This was done through the Sizenja Foundation. David Sizenja, the head of the Sizenja Foundation, made it his life's mission to create a school for the orphans of Africa, and he did so in Bira, Uganda, with some help from private investors. We were lucky and fortunate enough to have Park City as a member of Project Inkwell, and Park City is working towards a one-to-one initiative currently. So to enhance their program, they have the International Baccalaureate program. We went to them and said, would you like to participate in the Sister School program? And they said, absolutely, we'll make this part of our IB program. And so currently we have Treasure Mountain Middle School involved. We just set this connection where the kids are all involved. We talked to 700 middle school kids in an auditorium about 2 weeks ago. That was pretty daunting. But they're quiet as could possibly be for 1 hour while they listened to this whole program about how they would have pen pals in Bira, Uganda of their age that had nothing. David Sizenja did a beautiful presentation. I think the fact that he wore a purple robe helped a little bit to keep their attention, but they were just really so moved by this upcoming experience that they have in front of them, that they're immersed totally into and committed to this program. So first I'd like to, Scott, if you could I'd like to introduce you to the Sizenja Foundation and to the children of the St. Johnson School of Bira, Uganda, and what they'd like to have in their lives.
The central question to us all is, what have I done to touch, to stretch, to brighten, and have a child smile and lift that child, to give that child high hopes?
I want to be a teacher. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a sister. My name is Irene Wanyan. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor.
My name is Intege Nicholas. I want to be a doctor.
What's your name?
A small book, a pen, and a pencil, and $1 make a difference in the lives of the children back in Uganda.
So what the children in Park City, young adults, children in Park City are doing right now is they've established a program called Uganda Backpack. And they've collected contents for, I think, about 60 backpacks, pencils, books, calculators, notepads, all kinds of things that they could put together in a backpack and the backpack, and they've put them in a container, and the container will arrive. The Sizenja Foundation is paying for this container, will arrive in about 3 months to the children over there. Our issue that I'm concerned about, and I talked with you earlier about, is connectivity. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult. The schools that we're connected to right now don't have computers, they don't have technology. The children hardly have, most of them don't have shoes. So we're really taking this from ground zero for the children over there and trying to help them in any way, including bring technology into the classroom so that they can connect with hope to children over here. The Uganda backpack photo I think we have right here was these children just put together this within 2 weeks. They had up to 60 backpacks to send to their sister school, this is from Park City, to their sister school in Uganda. And tomorrow they're doing something for Memorial Day where they're part of the Kimball Arts Center. They're collecting money from all of the goods that are sold for Memorial Day in Park City on the street, beverages and food that will go directly to the St. Johnson Orphanage School. So that's one connection that we have. That's the most recent. The first connection we made was through David Engle for the North Platte schools, and obviously it's in Lake Maloney and Osgood in North Platte, Nebraska. And the connection we made with them was to the Yesu Afayo Jubilee Christian School in Palisa, Uganda. We found that through EcoVerdance was donating Accelagro product locally to the villagers in the area to help them increase their crop yield. And they came upon this school, and we saw an opportunity to be able to help the kids and with education through Project Inkwell Africa. So we made the connection to Lake Maloney and Osgood, which is called the North Platte School District. I can't even begin to describe how this has changed both sides of the villages and the cities, not just the individual students, but it just goes so far beyond the children even. The most recent thing that the kids at North Platte have done is established a program called Got Quarters, and we have a video. They've created a video showing how they developed this program. Scott, can you just show? The students made this video. This is just a parcel.
Please donate your change or quarters for our sister school, Jubilee Christian School in Uganda. Help us fill the gift card.
Can you hear me? They raised $1,400 in quarters. And that wasn't over a year. That was in about 6 weeks. In addition to that,
Sharon, do you have a bottle for the audience here for some more quarters?
You just register for next year's conference online. No, seriously, what the kids here in North Platte have done is just amazing. We started off with simple connection, which is emails back and forth. The principal over at this in Jubilee has to walk 5 kilometers to get to his email. So we have a really difficult time communicating between the schools. It's critical that we keep that ongoing, to keep the interest from both sides going, and to keep the hope with the kids in Jubilee alive. There's so many issues that we have to address here. The kids in Jubilee have received soccer balls from the kids from North Platte that were signed. They've never seen a shiny soccer ball before. They're playing now with real balls. It sounds awful, doesn't it? They're emailing back and forth to each other. The Jubilee School emails once a month, updating what's happening with the schools and what kind of progress there is being made. There's communication going on so that there's hope. There's new hope for the kids in Jubilee, that they believe that they can make something of themselves. The principal of Jubilee, his daughter just had malaria and was dying. And the students of North Platte paid the medical bills, and the society, actually. The whole system paid the medical bills for her, so she lived. They saved her life. And as I was telling Tom before, the most important thing that we can do right now is to create technology where we allow exchange of information between them. And I believe the only way that we can immediately resolve the challenge of connectivity is with cell phones. The challenges we have is cell phone usage is extremely expensive when you're in Uganda. The minutes, dollars per minute, are very, very expensive. But we found a company called Celio Corporation that has the ability to, with cell phones, you can actually transmit to a screen whatever the content is on the cell phone. So whether it's emails or photos or content, we find this just happened 2 weeks ago. We believe that we can do this and relatively affordably with the hardware. The challenge is going to be able to get the cost per minutes down. So in addition to how far this goes, There's even another school that's involved that heard about this through Dr. Siebert of Alabama A&M. He talked with Butler High School about what he saw when he was at the Jubilee School, and they have 2 trucks of shoe boxes filled with school items for the kids, and we're just trying to find a way to get those items there.
Thank you.
And the last thing that we have, I don't know if you want me to show that video now.
I think we're out of time.
Okay,
It's up to you.
we'll close with the
Close
video.
with it.
We'll close with the video. This is a song written by the Jubilee School for their sister school partners in North Platte.
That's very easy.